Let's wait on a couple people to get here before we get this thing started. Chucky, what's going on, man? Hope to see you. Hopefully you come down over here to Pensacola and we can do some fishing together, man. I know you like that pier, buddy. Call me. Let me join you. Go tackle some kings and cobia. I'm ready for that. Ready for this warm weather. We've actually been getting a lot of warm weather here. As of lately, it's been awesome. Such a cold winter. This sun feels amazing. Again, guys, I'm just waiting on a few people to come in. Bear, what's going on, man? Hey, Bear, after this, call me, okay? I want to talk to you. But, man. Yeah, we'll wait on a few people before I get started here. Alright, guys. How's it going, David? Water temp inshore 69, yes sir, all the way up to 72, 74 degrees, man. It is warm, very, very, very warm, which is awesome. 63, 65 offshore. Dude, there's some places where you can find that 69 already. I know a couple of guys that went offshore and found some really warm water. No Spanish, no king mackerel yet, no cobia, obviously. It's still early, but there are a few pushes of warm water offshore. And by that I mean within state water. Things are looking on the up and up. After the next full moon come March, some blackfin might be along the beaches. I know I'm going to try to get out there. I'm going to get out there early this year and see if I can't pick up on some blackfin in the kayak. BTB offshore. Yes, sir. As long as, you know, I got days off. Should be good. Kings and Pensacola Beach. Right now? Nah. But yeah, Kings, definitely. Alright, guys, we got enough people in here. I'm going to go ahead and kick this off. Thank you for joining me. First of all, I'm Captain Joshua Lim with LIM-IT-OUT Charters. It's starting to feel like spring. I was just talking to David right now about water temperature. Water temperatures inshore as high as 74 degrees, which is incredible. Especially for this time of year. Granted, it's just a warming trend. It will cool off. We will get another cold snap all the way up until about April. But, you know, the past few days, I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, man. It's either I catch a really big trout or hook up to a really big trout or about nothing. You know, you can go about 100 casts and not catch anything. And, you know, I was searching high and low. I'll tell you guys a little bit about what I was doing this past week, okay? I was searching my wintertime spots and basically not catching anything during the daytime. I would check springtime spots and I would catch one here, one there, one here, one there throughout the entirety of the day. And here in Pensacola, I'll just go ahead and mention some of the places I've been looking, but Perdido Bay, Big Lagoon, Pensacola Bay, the Sound. Been checking those areas, the springtime areas or the summer areas, catching a couple of fish, which was interesting, and then doing very, very slow even on the wintertime spots and doing slow in some of those springtime spots. Finally today, I decided to go check another area, okay? That kind of leaves the upper Perdido, the upper Escambia, upper Blackwater, even lower, the freshwater estuary bays, trying to find fish in transition, okay? Because they weren't in their springtime spots and they weren't really in their winter spots. So there got to be somewhere in between, right? Another thing that was going on with today is the tide. You know, lately our moon has been about zero. We got like a little fingernail of a moon. If y'all know me, I really, really like fishing big moons. I like fishing big tides. But, you know, I called up a buddy today. I'm like, dude, let's go fishing. I ain't got nothing else to do. I kind of want to go. You want to go? He's like, no, man, the tides suck. Yada, yada, yada. I'm just like, all right, you're right. But I want to go anyways. And one of my biggest saying, and this even goes for the past, you know, week, where it's been slow for me. And that's probably one of the hardest things about being a charter captain is that you always got to be on the fish. Got to be on the meat. Got to be on the specks. Got to be on the reds. For me personally, white trout, red snapper, sheep's head, nah, that's cool. I'll do it if I have to. But reds and specks is my deal. And so, anyhow, I was telling him, I was like, dude, there's always a bite. You just got to find it, right? I got to find it. I got to find where it's just cast after cast after cast, hook up, hook up, hook up. And today, that's what I'm talking to you about, is this transition pattern, and that's what I found today. I found fish in between their springtime spot and their wintertime spot. Now, if you know anything about the wintertime spots, and this goes for pretty much the whole Gulf Coast, is that they kind of get up in the bayous, the creeks, freshwater estuaries where it's a little bit warmer, get a little bit of freshwater influx, and then come springtime, they push away from that. You know, especially speckled trout, they want high salinity, they want to spawn, and we're not quite there yet. But where I did find the fish was on those adjacent flats. What's going on, Michael? What's going on, Boom? Appreciate y'all coming in. So I'm finding those fish on those adjacent flats outside of their wintertime spots. Now, I checked those areas the past week, okay? Places like in Pensacola Bay, the Sound. You know, I did go to Big Lagoon, which is more of a springtime area, summertime, fall time area. I went to Big Lagoon, and man, I was, for the most part, striking out, okay? So that leaves the freshwater estuaries, right, where they have been for the most part, okay? So finding those transition areas in places like Perdido, Escambia, Blackwater is the deal right now. What you want to look for is steep drop-offs, okay? And it doesn't matter how close to the bank you're fishing. I caught a lot of my fish offshore today. Even though I was in a kayak, I was offshore, inshore fishing. Meaning I was probably 100 to 150, 200 yards off the bank fishing a ledge, fishing a drop-off. These contour lines is what they're really called, those drop-offs. You can find them on Navionics. And if you stay on that line, or if you got a Lowrance system with a chip in it, you can follow a contour line. And then sometimes you might have an island, a point, something that comes all the way out. Maybe it's a very long dock. And then you have that structure to fish with. Putting those things together is the deal. I mean, I went from catching maybe 5 fish a day to today, it was uncountable. Caught redfish, speckled trout, a lot of trout. No real big ones. The biggest one was about 22 inches, which is a solid fish, but the numbers were there. But redfish, speckled trout, and flounder. Even caught a flounder today. Not saying that all the flounder are moving in from offshore quite yet, but hey, I caught one, which is cool. You know, it just shows that all the fish are kind of moving. For me to catch a redfish, a trout, and a flounder all in the same spot means that they're all transitioning, and you can find them really, really grouped up during these transition areas. Now, what makes transition fishing difficult is that, like I said, we're at a time right now where it's not spring and it's not really winter. I mean, you can call it winter, but it's like 80 degrees outside, so it feels more like spring. But that cold snap, excuse me, that cold snap will hit again, and the fish will push right back to their wintertime zones, okay, their wintertime spots. But during transition, you can find them, again, on those outside adjacent flats from their winter spots. Now, the deal with the transition pattern is that you gotta run water. You gotta run. It's easier to do in a boat. You can do it in a kayak. You can just hit, you know, certain transition spots, but in a kayak or in a boat, I mean, you gotta burn some gas and hit all those spaces in between, basically a springtime spot and a wintertime spot. Fishing those adjacent flats outside of those wintertime zones. They're not going to be at every single one, but when you find them, you're going to find the mecca, okay? And I wish I had a charter tomorrow because I found the mecca, and I don't know how long it's going to last. What's going on, Clint? Glad you can make it, bro. Now, time of day, you know, if you saw me live, go live today. Unfortunately, I couldn't get some of those hookups on camera. My battery was low. I didn't want to kill my phone. I knew I wanted to take pictures. But anyway, time of day. Fish the tides. Okay, now right now we're kind of in that neap tide phase. By that I mean it's very, very, you know, there's no real distance between high and low tide. Okay, usually we get about a foot tide here in Pensacola, which really isn't much to begin with, but it's all relative. But today we had just about no tide. And but I did fish the peak of it, and what was really cool, I didn't know that this was even coming, but we even got a little bit of sprinkle too. We got some wind, some clouds, and fishing that peak of the tide was really the deal. So you can still pick and choose when you want to fish during these times when it is slow, it is difficult. I always recommend, you know, looking at your tide table and fishing basically the turns of each tide. That's also going to help. You know, I say that all the time, and it just plays so true. I mean, I started the day at 2:30, 3 o'clock, ended by, you know, night. And I caught probably more fish than I have the whole past week. It was just cast after cast after cast, bam, 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 ripping them. Really, really cool. Some of the lures I used today was a topwater, getting topwater strikes. That helped me kind of locate some fish, just bombing that thing downwind, working it, get a pop, and then I followed it up with a jerkbait. Things like your Rapala Shadow Wrap Shad, Meridine, Rip and Slash, you know, any type of hard bait that you can just throw out there and cast a mile. That's what you really wanted to use today. And some of the things that help you out with that is, you know, some 10-pound Power Pro. That's what I was using today. Real thin diameter, bombing it downwind. There was something very consistent with either topwater or the suspension lures, and that was they wanted it slow. Every bite came on a nice solid pause. You know, it doesn't matter how fast you rip it, but as long as you pause it for a solid 4 or 5 seconds, that was the deal too. I mean, the fish weren't very active, but when you found them, you can definitely get them to bite. Playing with the cadence, huge tip, check that out. You know, don't always keep the same rhythm. That's a pretty big tip. Finally, I found the right rhythm today. It was probably on a solid 3-second pause. By that I mean 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, rip, 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 1 1,000. 2 1,000, 3 1,000, go. So that's when they were hitting it. It was on that strong pause. You got a Shimano low profile bait caster reel you recommend? I'm a lefty. Yeah. I'll answer that question when I get back. I'm a huge Shimano fan. I recommend them all, but there's some that, you know, I like more than others. So I'll get back to you on that. Corrado, bam, yes sir. But yeah. Let's see, is there anything else I can go over? Well, I think that about covers up what I'm doing right now. Again, that whole transition deal, I'm just going to recap real quick, hit that bullet points, is that cover water, okay? Fish adjacent outside flats that are close to your wintertime spots. Okay, if you have found, to which I have found, that your wintertime spots have just turned off or did a complete 180 where it went from epic to just like maybe 1 or 2 fish, you got to pull away, you got to change. The fish aren't quite in their springtime area, and that's why I'm bringing up this whole transition deal. All right, they're transitioning. Fishing ledges, they want that drop off, okay? They're kind of scarce. They don't want to push up too shallow. I am catching them shallow, but I'm just saying that if your edge starts 200 feet out and then to the bank you just got this vast area of 2 feet of water, fish the edge. Okay, fish where that 2 feet drops off to 3 or 4 feet. That's where I was finding my fish. Another thing that really helped me today with, you know, fishing this vast body of water, these big areas, was that I was catching a lot of my fish, most of them, I would say 90%, on tide lines. Okay, and if you don't know what a tide line looks like, it kind of looks like this long strip of slick water in comparison to the rest of the water, where it might be a little choppy, and then you just see this really long strip, like almost like a highway. And you know, the bait fish tend to relate to that. That's kind of a difference in current or movement in the water. And just bomb casting your suspension bait, bomb casting your top water adjacent to that drop off, to that edge along a tide line, dude, that was the deal. That was absolutely the deal today. I hope that really helps you out. Kenny, PM me after this, man. Put you on some fish. But yeah, that about wraps it up, guys. I hope that helps. Again, you know, cover water, look for the tide line, fish the drop-offs, you know, throw your search baits, whatever they may be, and just put your head down and get to fishing, man. There's always a bite, regardless of moon, regardless of tide, regardless of time of year, there's always a bite. It took me a little while to find it, but now it just seems like it's game on. Ray, please PM me after this. I would love to talk to you. get you on the water. Man, I found them, dude, and I want to put you on them. So Ray, please PM me after this. Would love to get you out there. Tomorrow is my birthday. I don't care. I'm going fishing regardless. So if you want to hop on the boat, come with me, please. Would love to have you out there and put you on some of these fish and experience what I got to experience today. Pretty darn epic. Caught a slam in February. Boom. You know, that's a good way to end my 31st year of living is with a slam. And then tomorrow I'll be 32. So, yes, sir. But somebody asked a question about what low profile Shimano to use. If I'm just going to break it down to just a base model, somebody mentioned the Corrado. Absolutely, you know, dime for dollar. The Corrado is an awesome low profile bait casting reel. You know, it's kind of like the Stratic or the CI4 Plus Stratic of the spinning reels. You know, the Corrado is definitely kind of like that baseline. Like if you want quality without paying top dollar, Corrado is it. Personally, me, if I was to buy another one, what would I get? I'll show you. The Metanium MGL, baby. Yes, sir. This thing is so smooth, guys. Like out the box, it is ridiculous, crazy smooth, insane smooth. Now, granted, I fish high salinity, saltwater. I put these reels to the test, and it's still buttery smooth, but it's not like when it came out the box, I'll be honest with you. But it's still an awesome reel. You know, it's a little bit on that higher dollar, you know, spectrum, but it's held up. First and foremost, it's held up. It's still smooth. And when I say smooth, I'm talking about the drag. Okay, when a fish pulls on this, it feels like it's ripping through a cloud made of silk. Somebody's making all these bad, smiley, angry faces. They must be a Daiwa fan or something. But I'm a Shimano guy. I always recommend the Metanium. It is by far my favorite reel to throw, okay? And like I said, I put that thing to the test. Bull Reds, you know, I do things with it that the bass guys aren't. And it's holding up great. So here's another one I'll show you. And this is a Jdm reel. What's really cool about this reel, this is the Shimano style, by the way, is that it's got these really big oversized knobs and handle. All right, it's a fast reel, and it's got a drag clicker. Okay, so when a fish pulls on this, it's like something that you don't get out of many bait casters. It's got that Shimano Aldebaran frame. It's super light. You match that up on an NRX 842 rod. I mean, this thing is featherweight. Okay, you can cast this all day long and never ever have a problem with your wrist or feeling fatigued. If you get fatigued with this, you need to do some physical therapy, because this is like holding a feather. It really just makes fishing, you know, more exciting when you get that bite. NRX rod, super sensitive. Everything just feels more exhilarating using a very light quality setup. Again though, bouncing back to the Corrado, I have Corrados as well. Especially for the kayak, if I'm afraid of losing a setup, I don't bring some of my best setups with me unless I know I'm fishing shallow water, because some of this stuff just gets ridiculous as far as price goes. Is there any other questions, guys? Can I help y'all out with anything? Anybody got any questions about the whole transition deal? You know, kind of point you in any given direction? Shimano must die for evil doings. Oh, Lord. Hey, at least they didn't sell out to China like most of these other companies, okay? We'll just keep it at that. My wrist is fatigued from masturbating. Wow. Alright guys, water temp right now inshore as high as 74 degrees. For the most part, the medium is about 70, okay? 70 degrees is about the medium. If you go in the back of a bayou, find some dirty water, you're going to look at 74, which is extremely high for this time of year. Back in January, it was 44 degrees, and it's jumped up all the way to 74. All right, that's 30 degrees. It's incredible. Fish are definitely in that transition phase. Get on that transition pattern, and you're going to find some fish. But again, cover water, guys. You got to cover water. Okay. Can you tell me more about upcoming... What, dude? I don't even know what that means, bro. Couch auction. I don't... Okay. Does top water color matter as much as they say matrix shad colors? Awesome question. And personally, I say no. But if you're confident in a color, that's where it really comes into play. For instance, if I were to take... let's just grab this. Here's a good one. Okay, perfect example. All right, spook. All right, this is in the bone color. Now, if I were to put this in the light, okay, pretend that's the sun. All right, put that in the light. You look up at it. What color do you see? It's gonna be dark, right? It's gonna, like, all you're gonna see is blackness, regardless of what topwater lure you're throwing. Now, granted, if it's cloudy and the sun's not really poking through, you have low light conditions. Things that may pop more is like a chartreuse, maybe a chrome. Bone is just one of those confidence colors. Again, though, the perfect example for colors with topwater. And a fisherman once showed me this. He was like, "Josh, put that topwater up to the sun." And I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "Tell me what color you see." And I was like, "It looks black." He's like, "Okay, now grab the pink one, grab the chrome one." And I kept doing it, and everything I saw was black. You know, it doesn't really matter what color topwater you throw. Again, it's a confidence thing. I always like a bone color. Whether or not it really makes that much of a difference, hard to say. But that's kind of my perspective on topwater colors, is that it's more, I think it's more in your head, and the fish bite more for the action and its presentation more so than the color. Granted, there are times where you can dial in a color, but again, I think it's more of a confidence deal. But my personal favorite colors, bone and purple. I'm looking to put a couch on my boat. Awesome. Alright, guys, if y'all don't have any more questions, how's it going, Billy? If y'all ain't got any more questions, I'm going to get out of here, leave y'all to it. I'm going to get back out on the water tomorrow. Guys, if I said PM me, if I said call me, please do. As soon as I get off here live, would love to chop it up with you and, you know, talk a little bit more about what's going on, and hopefully get you on my boat and show you what it's like to really get to ripping. Color only matters when they ain't biting. Yes, sir. That's when everybody's got their little smelly juice. They start smearing it. They start busting out every lure, the banjo, minnow, and the freaking whatever was on TV one day. It's just, you know, you're absolutely right, man. When the bite is slow, that's when everybody becomes a scientist. But when the bite's good, everybody knows you can throw just about anything and catch them. You know, the easiest fish to catch are the ones that are feeding. The ones that aren't are very hard to catch. Happy birthday. Thank you. I appreciate it, Jeremy. Are you rapping? Okay, do you change leader size moving from dirty water to clean water? Fluorocarbon is always on my boat. It's always in my tackle box. It's always on my rod and reels. Okay, regardless if I'm fishing, I can go to Louisiana, okay, where you can throw straight braid. I'll still tie on fluorocarbon. Reason being is because I believe that fluorocarbon will always get you more bites, okay? Now, there are times when you definitely don't have to, but as far as fluctuation of pound test, I always stay in that 18 to 20 pound range. And I personally like Shooter Sunline fluorocarbon. Check that out. Get it on Tackle Warehouse. But, you know, the knot I like to use is an Albright knot, and I always use 18 to 20 for inshore. Okay? That's just, it works. I don't ever have to change. And again, I always use fluorocarbon leader, always, regardless of dirty water, clear water. I swear by it. You know, fluorocarbon to braid, you get the best of both worlds. What's up? Hey, Matt. Yeah, man. Dock fishing. All right, Jeremy says, shoot, dock fishing, I throw 6 to 8 pound test. Yeah, man. I mean, shoot, that's at night, right? And you're bumping it down. Totally understandable. You know what I like to do at night is I like to throw really big baits that are that have a very subtle movement. Okay, swim baits. I like to throw big swim baits through lights. A lot of times they'll be feeding on little tiny glass minnows and stuff, and you basically want to downsize to a fly, downsize your fluorocarbon. I find that if you throw just a really big mullet imitation, you usually get that big bite first. But no, I hear you, man. Sometimes night dock light fishing can be tough, and they can get real spooky. They can get smart real fast. You know, that's a whole nother subject. I can talk all about dock light fishing. But no, I hear you on downsizing there. It makes sense, man. Totally, I get it. All right, guys. Last time for questions, and then I'm gonna go sit and ponder about what I'm gonna do tomorrow. Oh, shout out to Lewis Anderson and to Keith Morrison, guys from the Pensacola area. Those guys have stepped up to the plate, along with a few others I just don't know on top of my head. But to get the GCKFA kayak tournament going, which is the biggest kayak tournament in Pensacola, you know, some of the guys that ran that deal were stepping away, and somebody needed to take that and just run with it, and they did that, and I appreciate that. That's awesome. That's awesome for the community. That's one of the best tournaments around. Check that out. You know, as that time comes, I heard it's like late June is when it's going to fire off, so good deal. We need dock light talk in a few months. Yes, sir. We can do that, man. Definitely, especially in the summer months. Whew, beat that heat. Just do some night fishing, and man, it could be real easy and fun and cool. Not in that that really high heat. But another shout out, guys. Give it up to Ty and Teresa Sutherland. Man, 30 miles out. They hooked me up with a spear gaff. Dude, I'm gonna get out there come March and look for some blackfin. You know, that's something that you can look forward to, is blackfin off the beaches. You know, come April, you're gonna get the cobia, you're gonna get the king mackerel, the Spanish mackerel. These things come in much handy when it comes to kings and cobia, maybe a blackfin. Another thing to look forward to is sheep's head. All right, sheep's head bite's already on. You know, that's what a lot of people are doing right now. They're catching sheep's head, some snapper inshore, white trout, the occasional bull red, and speckled trout and redfish slots anyhow. They're in that transition phase, which I just talked about. And yeah, man, I mean, spring's right around the corner. If you look back on my Facebook, Chad Champagne, the owner of Matrix, he came down, and dude, we tore some gators up on topwater in spring. Spring is an awesome time. A lot of things going on, like I mentioned. Good time to be out off on the beach in a kayak. Good time to be catching all kinds of fish in a boat. So, yeah, sheep's head bite is on. Where at? Piers have been dead. Ralph, check. I don't know if you got a boat or not, but a lot of the bay snapper numbers are holding sheep's head. You know, again, Bridges, you know, dude, Bob Sykes has been on, 3 Mile Bridge. I mean, just the other day, when I ran a charter, I was running through the bay, and I saw guys on every bridge, every pier, every snapper bay spot there is, and they're all on top of it. So, I mean, I haven't been targeting sheep's head at all, but I can see what everybody's doing, and I'm just kind of, you know, taking note of what everybody else is doing around me, and that's why I say the sheep's head bite is on. Also, you know, Pensacola Fishing Forum, Pensacola Fishing Fanatics on Facebook, Pensacola Fishing Reports on Facebook, all that stuff, man. Everybody's catching sheep's head like it's going out of style already, but that will fire up even more so in April when they start spawning. So, yeah. spear gaff at the camp out last year. I love it. Heck yeah, man. Dude, I can't wait to use this thing. Dude, I feel like a Hawaiian holding this, you know? Just Java fish. It's going to be awesome, man. I can't wait for that. You know, I never caught a blackfin tuna out of a kayak. I've never caught a cobia out of a kayak. And, you know, those are some of my biggest goals for 2018 is to get some really big fish out of a kayak. Use a spear. Destroy them. But, all right, guys. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you very much. Absolutely, Jimmy. It was my pleasure, man. I came there to see you, dude. And, you know, and everybody else. So, especially the guys, Speckled Truth, my Matrix family, you know, always a good time putting, you know, faces to names and just getting to chop it up with everybody. Yeah, Brandon can put you on some cobia. Man, Brandon has never put me on a fish ever, dude. He keeps all of his secrets to himself, unfortunately. I'm not a Hobie team member, so I guess I'm not in that crowd. But I figured out what he's doing. But anywho, guys, thank you very much for stopping by. I appreciate it. Until next time, tight lines of good fishing, and check me out at www.lim-it-outcharters.com.